So for lambing bins, I like to make sure at least a week. I'm a little bit late this time because the East Frisians are the only ones going in a week. So I was a little lax, but normally I do this about 2 to 3 weeks prior to lambing because we do have so much to do in the barn as far as breaking it down into individual pens. But let's see what we have in our lambing bin from last year. I'm also going to have a pad and pen because I like to keep track of what we need or what we need to replenish. So one of the first things that I always make sure that I keep in the lambing bin is this is an old table warmer. That's why it's so big. I'm a massage therapist and I have multiple of these, so I dedicated this one to lambing, and on a table warmer I can put multiple lambs on this if needed, if they are in distress, instead of, I mean, you could use a regular heating pad, but this table warmer works great, and I will just plug this in to make sure that it works and is ready to go. The next thing I also like to keep is a bag of old sweaters, like animal pet sweaters and blankets. These work great if you have bottle babies. We never go into our lambing season expecting to have bottle babies. We anticipate having bottle babies, so it's just nice to have a plethora of these. My parents' dog passed away and she was a small dog, so we actually inherited these. So I'm going to keep these in a bag and I will hold these in a bin for bottle lambs if we have them. With the anticipation, especially with the breed that we have mostly Finn sheep. They have required some assistance in lambing. Not all of them. Most of them have been really great moms and not needed any help whatsoever. We attend their births just to make sure everything goes well and babies nurse and everything. But in the anticipation of something happening and just being generally prepared, we like to keep these OB gloves on hand, and there are multiple ones in here. These are the kind that go up to the shoulder. Obviously, you could use these for cattle, horses, bigger animals. We just grab these, and like I said, I just like to keep them on hand to make sure that we have everything we could possibly need so we're not running around at the last minute. Sanitary wipes. These are great for out in the barn if we need to wipe something off, or our hands, we need to wipe our hands off really quickly. These work really well. They're quick and easy to use. Obviously, soap and water is going to happen at some point, but when we're in the middle of lambing, 5 ewes at the same time, these come in clutch. Again, if we have to have bottle babies, the goal is usually to keep them out with the moms and just supplement them with a bottle, but sometimes they really do need help. They need warming up or something like that, and we have to bring them in. We have done that in the past, so we need diapers. These are so tiny that, like, this is my hand and I have small hands. These are preemie diapers, so I make sure to keep a stock. There are, oh gosh, probably 2 or 3 packs of these in here, and I just like to keep them in a store bag so that I know we have them, just in case. We're never going to need that many, but I know that we have them and they're there if we need them. I keep a deodorant on hand in the lambing bin. Sometimes lambs wander off, and our lambing jugs have rails on them that if it's an adventurous lamb, they can get through, and they will wander around and go into another mom's pen. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when that lamb is returned to its original mom doesn't recognize it because it's like, who are you? You're not my baby. You don't smell like me. So we will put deodorant on mom and all the babies so that everybody smells the same. And then that way mom says, oh, okay, you're my kid, you can come back in, and she won't reject it. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Bottles. These are the Tractor Supply bottles for, these are the Caprine bottles. So you can use these for goat kids, and you can also use them for lambs. These go to 16 ounces. So these are really good to have. I just like to keep them in a bag, and these, if we end up having bottle babies, these will get washed in the dishwasher prior to use. I always wash them, obviously, before we put them away, but they've been in this bag for a year now, so I will just clean them up, but it's good to have. Something else I keep on hand with those bottles is a clean bottle brush. I get one every year because we inevitably always go through one. with a lot of bottles, so it's always handy to have, and you can get those at the dollar store really cheap. Depending on what time of year we lamb, and traditionally or historically we have lambed in the spring, we will be lambing in the fall this year, 2023, so hopefully we won't have to deal with freezing temperatures, which we typically don't in the fall. But depending on when we lamb and if the babies are very vigorous or not, I usually keep onesies on hand, and this one is short sleeve, and I also keep long sleeve on hand just in case. A couple of times we've had lambs born outside and they've been cold. We do around the clock checks, barn checks and yard checks, but sometimes, you know, if a mom is walking around, she will walk away from her lambs. It's like an Easter egg hunt. We have to find those lambs and find them quickly, and especially when it's cold, so we want to warm them up fast. So we'll do that. We'll put onesies on them and get them warmed up as best as we can. I like to keep a stock of different kinds of bottle nipples. We have found between the lambs, they all prefer something different. So these are the nipples that actually go with these bottles, but these nipples, as well as these nipples, all fit on this bottle. So it just depends on the preference of the lamb. This year, if we have any bottle babies, we are hoping to use a bucket milker with the nipples on the bucket so that we don't have to do an individual bottle for everybody. So this is what we have, and like I said, I like to keep a stock. I have these, and then I have a stock of the gray and the black ones just in case. I also try to keep a little bit of the multi-species colostrum supplement on hand. If we have a situation where a mom is not producing or we can't get anything out of her, then we will resort to this. With having the East Frisians lamb ahead of everybody else, I'm hoping to steal a little bit of colostrum and put that in the freezer. We did that one year. We had a mom who lost her lamb, and we milked mom for about a week, and we put all of that in the freezer. It was liquid gold, and it can save a lamb's life. That first 24 to 48 hours is super important. So I like to keep this on hand. This is from last year, so I probably will be replacing this with fresh, updated colostrum replacement. But we obviously straight from the mom would be best. And this is worst case scenario. But like I said, these are things that I like to have on hand for that just in case. That's how I am. I like to be prepared. I have another bin of just towels. I like this size towel. This is pretty good size for our Finn lambs. They typically tend to be pretty small, 2 to 3 pounds maybe when they're born. I just like to keep these in a bin, and I stock those. I get those at the dollar store. I will buy a dozen at a time, wash them up, and we'll take them and put them in the bin. We'll put them in the barn. We'll use them, bring them in, wash them, and do it all over again. I don't put any fabric softener on any of the blankets, the onesies, the towels, none of that, because I don't want the lambs to smell like anything except their moms. So we will just keep them clean and unscented. I keep a stock of meds that we could possibly need during lambing, dexamethasone and some Banamine and a few other things. I also keep the general lube that we like to use if we have to use a sleeve and get in there and assist. We don't normally have to administer any kind of meds. The CDT obviously needs to be kept in the fridge, and we keep penicillin in the fridge, but these are just things, as I said before, and I keep saying this like a broken record, we just like to have on hand. I also have a full stock of needles and syringes, and all of this stuff is kept in separate bins to keep it organized, and we know right where to go for it if we need it. So I wanted to talk about the part of farming that no one ever wants to talk about. And it's part of the reason I named our channel Hidden Farm Life, because everybody wants to talk about and see the good stuff, and nobody wants to acknowledge when there's bad stuff. And sometimes there is bad stuff, and when you are a farmer, you have to accept that the bad comes with the good. And over the weekend, this past weekend. We had our first lambing. It was Ginny, my girl here, Ginny. She had 2 lambs, and they unfortunately did not make it. And that's just how it is. And it's something that we don't like to have to deal with. Nobody wants to deal with death, but again, farm animals, it is a part of life. So with that being said, I want to share with you something that is good. So hold on. So I wanted to show you, this is Bet's lamb. Her name is Ophelia, and we are calling her Opie for short. She is a vigorous little girl. She is eating well. She's eating well. She is also wandering around the barn because she has a penchant for being an explorer, and she's super, super friendly and just freaking adorable. So I wanted to share that because, as I said, the good also comes with the bad. And we just appreciate every one of our animals and what they do for us. And little Miss Opie is happy to be here, and I hope you enjoy our content. We try to keep it real and positive and just share what's going on here and what we're dealing with. So until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.